Welcome to today's Clash of Clans video. We are going to be focusing in on Town Hall 9 and some powerful strategies that will help you get the 3 stars. We are going to be looking at a decent amount of variety today so that you can select the strategy which you feel most comfortable with. We'll be looking at Valkyries, Witches, the LavaLoon, even the Dragons, so that you can get them 3 stars a little bit easier. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, diving straight into the first one, we do have the Dragons. Now this strategy I covered probably around about a year and a half ago in terms of a guide, but Town Hall 9, the meta hasn't really changed too much. So what you want to look for are bases where you have air defense basically 1 or 2 tiles apart like this. So either side we would be able to do this strategy from. Now what you want to do is use 3 lightning spells which you will place directly in between them alongside an earthquake spell. That will take out both of them air defense, and then we will explain the rest of the strategy as we move along. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell as well, because that's the only way you will stay up to date with all of my videos when they go live. So you can see the lightning spells used periodically there. So what tends to happen is you will take out one air defense before the other. What that then means is that on the final one you can place it just a little bit off, and we basically did a little bit of damage to the sweeper here. Not the biggest thing in the world, to be honest, but in some situations it can help you out and worth noting. We are then going to use just the one wizard at the top here to create a funnel, whilst the king and the queen create a funnel over at 9 o'clock, and the dragons have then got a clear path to push through the base, clearly behind this sweeper, and we're not going to be affected by the sweeper at the bottom as well. Now you might be asking, the air defense at the very south of the base, the 6 o'clock air defense here, what are we going to do? The dragons are going to get to that last. Normally you want to take down the defenses that are the most dangerous first. However, what you will want to do is use a back end LavaLoon. Now they're not always set up like this, the bases. And in this case we are able to use a lava hound followed by loons to take out both of them air defense. Let's say for example there was only one air defense down here, you would still use this similar strategy, but if there was another one you would be using your heroes in order to pick that off. So you can basically pick off one with your heroes, then you pick off the fourth with the LavaLoon, and if you can path that, well, mini LavaLoon onto an X-bow following the air defense, that will be equally is important, just something else to get down essentially. And against the correct bases you will crush with this strategy. Look at how many dragons we have left over. Yes, there are strategies which are a bit more generic in terms of, we're talking about the witches, but the dragons can be even better against select bases. So as we move to the next one, we are going to show you the Valkyries, that Falcon attack which took over the meta at Town Hall 10 at one point. If you are enjoying this one, be sure to leave a like on the video, it does help out massively. Now a big part about the Valkyries is setting up that funnel, so I think it's interesting here that the one healer is used to keep that P.E.K.K.A alive a little bit longer whilst the wizard sets the funnel. Then the healer is basically going to just transfer across to the queen anyway, but at this point we have a wide funnel set up, and it's quite good that the queen is in this lower compartment because it actually aggroes the Valkyries in, and from there that is job done. As long as you can get them Valkyries into the base, and i.e. not walking around, you're going to be pretty good with this. Now the king and the bowlers, they do start to walk around, but again that's not the end of the world. We have a huge pack of Valkyries in here just leading the rage spells. They can get through the walls very quickly and shred through the defenses. The healers get a little bit lost in here, start taking fire from this air defense, and ultimately that is not the best thing in the world for this strategy. We do get a little bit fortunate, kind of get that air defense down, and the queen turns and continues to finish things off. But at this point we've shredded through all of this area of the base, and the bowlers are moving around the outside alongside the king. They are able to shoot in as the Valkyries come back through as well. So again, like I said, we do get a little bit fortunate to the end here. You'll see how the queen is able to step over and get this expo, which is ideal. Obviously that's an area where the bowlers cannot reach. They would have to get back into the base in order to take that out, but since the queen gets it, everything is then reachable, and ultimately coming down to the end of it, there's more than enough. So what are you looking for in terms of the Valkyries? They need to get access through the base. We used all rage spells in this one, but sometimes if you're running into a lot of splash damage, a heal might be beneficial. So as they came up towards the wizard towers at the top here, a heal might have been beneficial, but you need to be able to get through the base, and there needs to be ultimately a wide open space in the middle for the Valkyries to get good value pressing through. Moving on to the witches then. Actually, we'll go on to that next. I thought the witches was the next one in the attack. We had a bunch of witch attacks in this one. By the way, all of these attacks are by feederways, part of the UK War Alliance. If you are interested in joining, be sure to check out my Discord server. The link is down in the description of this video. Everything you need to know is in there, and you can basically join them on this AWL journey. Massive respect to Clash Files, they did get the victory on this one, but getting into this LavaLoon attack. Now we did have the kill squad coming in with the jump spell, and part of the kill squad is essentially getting through the base. We've taken down the queen, the CC is down here as well. Why did he use the Lalo on the back end? One of the strategies which works very well at Town Hall 9, which we're not actually showing in this video, is the Hog Riders, but equally the LavaLoon and the Hog Riders, you're doing a similar thing. You're bringing a kill squad in, taking out some set objectives, coming to the back end of the base, and ultimately we used the loons on this one because, I've just paused it for a second, we had good pathing, we had 2 air defense here which allowed us to come in. I believe there was a sweeper somewhere here. We could come behind the sweeper with the LavaLoon, and ultimately getting to this final area here, you would have to have a heal for hogs, and that's a lot of damage for hogs. If you don't have a lot of spells left over, you can actually just use haste on the loons and they can get through that quite nicely. So as long as you've got good pathing with the loons, they're often the better choice, but it depends how good you are with these strategies as well. What we're doing in this video is showing you a bit of variety so that you can choose what you're most comfortable with. Ultimately, not everyone feels comfortable doing a LavaLoon strategy. Some people choose to use the Hog Riders over the Lalo, even though the base might be better set up for it, and ultimately a lot of them, especially at Town Hall 9, you could take with either one, to be honest guys, but the principle of the attack is the same. In terms of that kill squad coming in, exactly what you've seen in this one, getting it done. Just make sure that you are not forgetting about the kill squad. We did have a couple of wizards coming around the outside in this one. Now I am going to show you one witch attack because I felt it was probably important to put it on, because it's probably the best strategy at Town Hall 9 in terms of, it might not be the strongest. I would say LavaLoon is stronger, but it's certainly the easiest to do alongside this. So I think for the masses, the witches are best. And this is the most simplistic way of doing it. We have one jump spell here, and we'll have another one further into the base here to allow us access into the base and right the way through the base, and that is what you need. We actually have 2 rage spells in this one. Now normally I would recommend a rage and a heal, but it just depends on what you foresee moving in. Do you have a lot of splash damage there? With the witches, if you're mainly using that and you think that your bowlers will be protected, then you probably don't have to worry about the heal. The heal is more for the bowlers, to be honest. If you don't have bowlers in the clan castle, Valkyries work equally as well. But what you want to do, you have a couple of witches move around either side, as you can see, but you want your main pack coming through the base itself, and ultimately you want to protect them heroes and bowlers as best as possible. So the skeleton spell that was used down here was used to protect the witches on the outside and the troops coming through. More so the witches on the outside though. What you don't want is your troops in the middle having to constantly shoot out over towards the defences. You actually want this area down so that they can shoot to the defences, sorry. We don't want to shoot out over to the trash buildings. Man, what is wrong with me in today's video? Do apologise, guys, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Again, this one, coming down to it, more than enough troops to get the 3-star, queen in the middle, well protected, and that is probably the easiest way to do the witch attack. With a couple of golems to help, you can start to bring in healers, but it depends on the position of the air defense. This is your standard way of doing it. If you are interested in seeing other ways though, I do have a video very recently that was out on the witches specifically, so you can head on back a couple of weeks to my previous Town Hall 9 video. Now here we have a very similar base that you've seen first, but this one you can see air defense and air defense are split, and we have the air defense across to the right hand side, which you can see one of the spells coming in where we can wipe this area out. So down they come. Now he doesn't bring an earthquake on this one, so actually misses this air defense, but notice how it's reachable from here. So he's not going to worry, because he's actually going to path his heroes into that to try and get this air defense, and I think potentially they were thinking we could get down to this one, but irrespective, the sweepers are pointed in the other direction, look, which means the dragons will ultimately come in and they'll take this air defense down alongside the queen relatively quickly. It does mean that getting to this far air defense, you could come in with a Lalo towards it, or you could just have a plan for it. Now ultimately, you don't want to time fail with the dragons, so they come in before the heroes are finished. As soon as that funnel is set, the dragons are in. Nice use of the loons to get onto that air defense, and ultimately that redirects the queen back over towards the air defense at the top here. The enemy queen goes down very quickly to the dragons, as you can see. Balloons moving through quite nicely here in order to just help take out the defenses for the dragons. Again, it's not like, I don't know, when you have the E-drags and they have to chain through the buildings. The dragons, they don't worry about that, so the balloons can just move through, take out whatever defenses, and in comes a bat spell in order to distract this air defense. Very intuitive to do that. Again, you could come at this with a number of ways. A haste would have been equally as good to power them loons onto it, but the bat spell was just a little bit more transferable, shall we say. Let's say the balloons had gone down and it was actually a dragon coming down here. The haste wouldn't have been as good, whereas the bat spell was equally as good for protecting the dragon or the loons, and look at them all left over with the queen's ability. That's why I'm saying the dragons, they are brilliant, guys. If you haven't used that strategy, look out for bases that you can do it with. That is going to wrap it up for this one though, guys. Until next time, peace out.